when it comes to the president, I was proud to see him once again disavow his association, talk about why he does not associate himself with these organizations, these hate groups. He did this back in March of 2016 with respect to David Duke. And he said, he said, David Duke is a bad person. I disavow from David Duke. I disavow from the KKK. He did that in March of 2016. He gave a statement this weekend that wasn't strong enough for a lot of people because he did not name specifically these different hate groups.
Was
just
it strong
like President.
Enough for you?
Yes. Yeah, it was strong. Yes, it was strong enough for me because he came out and said, hatred, bigotry, and violence have no place in our society in America, and that was true. And he was talking about the hate
sides and not specifying groups.
Listen,
okay.
You know what? When President Obama, after Charleston, came out right after Charleston 9 and gave his remarks, it was a very tempered response, and he did not go into details because he didn't know all the facts. He did not name all of those people by name, all those hate groups by name, and did not call that person who was a domestic terrorist, and we knew that he was, a white supremacist, a neo-Nazi, or a member of the KKK. He didn't do any of that, but he didn't receive the backlash. But President Trump did do that today.
In order for Stockholm Syndrome to develop, a victim must also perceive that her captors have shown occasional kindnesses. Being permitted to eat, not being punished for a so-called transgression, and even being allowed to live are all considered benevolent to someone with Stockholm Syndrome. People with Stockholm experience symptoms similar to post-traumatic stress disorder patients. They may have flashbacks, nightmares, distrust of others, and the inability to enjoy previously pleasurable activities. No one is sure why this phenomenon occurs, but it has been suggested that a victim believes, perhaps unconsciously, that forming an attachment to her captor maximizes her survival.
And afterwards, when Jim Acosta came and asked him about it again, he said, they have been disavowed. They have been disavowed. They have been disavowed.
Can I just say something real quickly, Brooke?
And the last point to this, Keith, I didn't interrupt you, is that I'm surprised that all of a sudden we want the President of the United States to be our bishop, our priest, our pastor. If you go back to past presidents, Bill Clinton, Richard Nixon for many instances, or even if you go back to JFK, there have been huge examples of moral failure. So the President of the United States has never been someone that we look to be our moral leader. If you want a perfect person, if you want somebody who was beyond fault and repute, you can't elect Jesus Christ because he's the only one that was perfect. This is a political leader.
I'm sorry to the other guests. I just have to say something about this. We have a president of the United States right now who started his political career by attacking the first African-American president with a racist birtherist attack, which he continued for 5 years. He started his political campaign by attacking Mexicans, and he started his ascendancy in the political campaign by attacking Muslims. He has a history of racism, and he's failed to repudiate this. This is unlike President Obama. I'm offended that you continue to go there, Paris, but the reality is that President Trump has not done enough, and I'm ashamed that you, as an African-American, Paris, will not say that.
Well, Keith, I don't need you to try to pull my black card. I am well aware of my blackness and don't need you to try to classify me as being one. I understand what racism is. Keith, don't go there. Do not go there. I know what it means to be a black man in this country. I know, and I experience racism on a regular basis by being a Trump supporter and by being a proud American who happens to be a Republican. I get racist comments.
That's the racism you experience by being a Trump supporter?
I get racist comments about my family, about my mother, about my girlfriend, about my character. Every single day mostly coming from black people, Keith, if you really want to get down to it. My family's from Georgia. Keith, let me finish. My family's from Georgia. We have members of our family that went missing because of the KKK taking them up. So don't come to me and tell me about what it means to be a black person in this country. I fought every day in the George W. Bush White House. Yes, Keith, let me finish.
Calm down.
No. I won't calm down because I will not be attacked by you about my blackness because I happen to be a Republican and I listen to our president,
Paris,
who went
you've
on
really
multiple
gone off the
instances.
rails here.
Okay.
I am going
Have
off
respect.
the rails
here.
because you have
Respect.
no grounds
Gentlemen.
and no respect to attack
Paris,
somebody
you're,
like this.
you're obviously
You don't
very
like
sensitive
me?
and defensive about
Keith,
this issue,
you better
Paris,
watch
because you
your
have your
mouth
own
when you talk
issues
to
and
me,
demons
Keith.
to
Keith
resolve.
and
Get your guests under
Keith and
control.
Paris, just do me a favor. Just please come
Get
on
them
my
under
show and
control, because I will not come on the show and be disrespected and have
I
my
understand.
office,
Oh, you
my
but you can
ethnicity
disrespect
attacked by
African Americans every day when you come on the show.
Hang on, please.
And you don't represent them at all. You don't represent the 8% of the that voted for this
Guys,
president.
Paris, you're the spokesperson.
Guys,
I'm not their
please, just a
spokesperson,
minute.
but I happen to
Joe,
be a black
I wanna
person
bring
who
Joe in.
agrees with this
Paris,
president, and am proud that he
please,
stood
sir.
up there and
Good for
said
you,
what he
Paris.
said,
Good for
denouncing
you.
the Klan, denouncing David Duke like he did in March, and denouncing
After
this
he was
hatred,
forced
bigotry,
to
and
do it.
violence.
It took him
He
2
wasn't
days
forced
to
to
denounce
do it.
It took
He
him
was
2
not
days to
forced to
denounce
do it.
David Duke.
Take that conversation. Have it off camera. I really would like to have a substantive conversation about.
Yeah, well, he better
about
watch how he
race.
talks about me too.
I understand, and let's
Paris,
have
shut up,
respect.
please, for God's sake. Why do you
Okay,
keep
so
doing this?
so you're gonna let him call me to tell me to shut up?
No,
When Kenny
I'm
Kitchener
not.
did that
Be
to Simone
quiet.
Sanders, there was a meltdown. Don't tell me to shut up on the show. This is preposterous, and you know it.
Guys,
After being kidnapped, raped, and held as an 18-year hostage, J.C. Lee Dugard was rescued. But rather than condemning her captor, she shockingly referred to him as a great guy.
On the surface, Dugard's behavior seems bizarre, but it's typical of a psychological phenomenon known as Stockholm Syndrome. Victims of Stockholm Syndrome develop compassion and loyalty towards their captors. The condition follows psychologically traumatizing situations like hostage situations and kidnappings. In fact, Stockholm Syndrome got its name in 1973 when 2 thieves accosted a bank in Stockholm, Sweden, taking 4 bank employees hostage. For 6 days, the prisoners were held in a bank vault, tied to explosives with nooses around their necks. During a rescue attempt, police were shocked when the captives took offense, siding with the captors. Like the Stockholm victims, people who develop this condition endure situations where they're forced to contemplate the reality of severe injury or death. In order for Stockholm Syndrome to develop, a victim must also perceive that her captors have shown occasional kindnesses. Being permitted to eat, not being punished for a so-called transgression, and even being allowed to live are all considered benevolent to someone with Stockholm Syndrome. People with Stockholm experience symptoms similar to post-traumatic stress disorder patients. They may have flashbacks, nightmares, distrust of others, and the inability to enjoy previously pleasurable activities. No one is sure why this phenomenon occurs, but it has been suggested that a victim believes, perhaps unconsciously, that forming an attachment to her captor maximizes her survival. Oddly, Stockholm Syndrome doesn't resolve in tandem with the end of a hostage situation. In the 1973 bank robbing, the freed hostages remained loyal to their captors, even setting up a fund to cover the criminals' legal fees. These symptoms of Stockholm Syndrome are actually something of an anomaly, because according to FBI reports, 73% of abduction victims show no compassion or affection for their captors. And for the other 27%, long-term therapy together with short-term anxiety or sleep medications offer Stockholm Syndrome sufferers an excellent chance to recover and resume a normal, healthy life.